right now, I think tonight is actually game one for Minnesota and Denver, which number 2 and number 3 seeds in the NBA West.
Let's talk about that for a second. Okay, Minnesota, people kind of, I'd be interested to see what's going to happen. I don't know how their matchups with Denver, but I almost want to say Minnesota should be the favorite, and I'll tell you why. If you remember how the season was going, Minnesota was number 1 on the West, and then Cat got hurt.
Yeah.
Okay, so they slipped to number 3, but they all still in the same kind of boat.
Within the game
But
or whatever.
what it would have been if he wouldn't have got hurt, I bet you they would end up with the number 1 seed over Oklahoma. Denver might not have cared so much because through their injuries or whatever, they're a championship team. They just want to get in and do whatever they do. But I'm just saying, Minnesota's got some size. I don't know how they're going to match it up. But if you talk about the Anthony Edwards versus Jamal, I'm giving the edge to Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
And now how do they match up with Porter Jr.? Porter Jr. is not a superstar athlete. He's just big, and when he jumps, he's 6'10", taking his shot. But he generally speaking does not create his own shot.
He played great against the Lakers, though.
Well, he always does.
Like, in terms of, he averaged like 21 points per game, shooting like 55 or.
Yeah, and the Lakers don't, and I think Darvin Ham doesn't defend against what he does very well. I don't think Darvin Ham defended against what's his name had a couple big games in there too. Who's that other forward?
Aaron Gordon.
Aaron Gordon. He's in the dunker spot getting all these dunks. I said, what is Darvin Ham doing? Sometimes you got to play and let Anthony Davis just defend Jokic, period.
I agree. Yeah, I think that like with the Lakers, they sent the double too much.
Yeah.
Just let them play 1-on-1, and if
they make it, they make it. But giving the guy the dunk, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Not only maybe the guy does something, he gets an offensive charge or something, but the Lakers, I didn't like Darvin Ham decisions throughout the season. He kind of, with the starting lineup, the way he used Rui, the way he motivates Rui, the way he motivates D'Lo, I just don't get it. I don't get what he was really in clutch. Those guys, they didn't play well against clutching in Denver. They're in every game that you see them in Denver. There's not a game that I think the regular season or playoffs where they blew out the Lakers to where, it's over, it's whatever.
Yeah, every game came down to the wire. It's like, honestly, it's just tough. It was tough to see just because Lakers didn't really have any injuries. Everybody.
Well, they had injuries. They just went to AD and LeBron.
Right, yeah, to like their core main people.
Well, quiet as it's kept, if the Lakers wouldn't have had the injuries they had to Gabe and also to the forward.
Rui?
No, the other forward that's the defensive guy. The defensive guy.
Oh, Vando.
Yeah,
Vanderbilt.
If those guys are healthy the whole season, it probably is a different season even for Darvin Ham, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
Because the forward that can play real good defense,
Vanderbilt. Yeah.
He's a difference maker. Yeah. And had he, like, let's say he's available and he's guarding
MPJ probably.
If he's gone, he could guard Jamal Murray.
Yeah.
It's different. Now, there's other dynamics, whether offensively, blah, blah. But I think he would have improved offensively. I think he improved his offense. Rui was disappointing.
Yeah, I thought we were he's gonna make a jump last year, but he didn't. He didn't make that jump. And Gabe Vincent was hurt all the year. Gabe Vincent played good defense against Jamal Murray, but he didn't have that impact.
I think the injuries just didn't allow him to be his best version of himself, and that hurt the Lakers.
Right.
So now you back down to, with those injuries, they messed with D'Lo. D'Lo came back and kind of became a star to some level, but D'Lo ain't like Kyrie Irving. He ain't that level. He can come up. Him and Austin Reeves, they can have some decent supporting games, but they're not a star guy like Kawhi Leonard or like Kyrie Irving or like Doncic,
Luka, yeah.
Or like even and Jamal Murray might not be a Kyrie or an Anthony Edwards, but he's a level above offensively than Austin Reeves and D'Lo. Now D'Lo, he put more emphasis on defense this year, which was good. You saw the effort that changed everything for him. That made him.
He had a career year this year.
Yeah, he
shot great. averaged like 18 points.
But as far as clutch, that one game where he didn't score any points, that was pretty bad.
Yeah, that was bad. Yeah.
Now I'm thinking to myself, the way that guy can shoot, can I scheme for him to get him wide open? Because if he gets wide open looks, it's better than him trying to create it. And I don't think Darvin Ham schemed for his talent and his skills. I just don't. You see a scheme for Steph Curry. You see him scheming for Klay Thompson. But I just don't see him scheming the right way for D'Lo personally. So I think the firing was a good fire, but you still need a coach that's gonna coach clutch. Got to coach clutch because it's parity. They actually, and I know they could have won that series.
And speaking of parity, I mean, I think that like the NBA has transitioned into becoming like this in parity because like 10 years ago, everybody around 2012, 2013, 2014, you had Miami, you had San Antonio, and then you had the upcoming of Golden State. They weren't quite there yet in 2014, but those years, you knew kind of every year which team was going to be in the finals. Mm-hmm. And now it seems like the league has gotten so good.
Now you don't know.
Now you really don't know. And I used to talk amongst this like with some of my friends and just like other like fans. I feel like the NBA is actually in a really good position because I was nervous like after LeBron James left the league because he's been the face of the league for so long and generating so much money and brings so much attention to the game. But like now that they have so many young talent and it's just like it's great for the league because you don't know who's going to win. It's somebody different every year. It's so competitive. And like I think that like peak NBA or a really good season I thought was 2016 because you had the 73-9 Warriors. We had the Cavs. Both of them had, their own separate stories and they met in the finals, had the 3-1 comeback. And that season was just like Russell Westbrook was doing really well. Like that season overall collectively the stars were playing great. And you knew who was going to get to the finals. And it was really competitive. And now, like, fast forward, 8 years later, now it's like a crapshoot who's going to make it.
Well, what's better then? That year, 2016, or now with parity?
I think that for me personally, I would say 2016 just because those are the players that I grew up like, right. Watching LeBron,
LeBron and
Curry, and like that rivalry. Having a rivalry, I think, is really important. And like even with the parity now, you still kind of have I think you're starting to kind of have a rivalry with, like Boston and Miami. That's kind of always been a rivalry since like LeBron was there in Miami. He's going against Paul Pierce, KG, Ray Allen, all them. And now you're starting to have a rivalry with, who am I thinking of? Like Dallas and the Clippers, Los Angeles.
You literally, even though they dominated, you can pretty much say Denver and LA is a rivalry in a dominating way.
Yeah.
People look at it like, here we go again, what's going to happen? They don't consider it a competitive rivalry, but they consider it a watch. You want to watch and see because, first off, anytime you got a LeBron James, Anthony Davis team, you figure you got a shot to see something even though they've been dominated. Yeah. And we're sitting here talking about it. Well, we almost believe the Lakers could have won anyways. And the way the stats showed out with them leading the series predominantly, we could see it came down to the last 5 minutes. But the reason why we feel it's not competitive, because everybody says, well, in the last 5 minutes, Denver just going to win the game.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be.
No.
But so in a way, it's a rivalry that's not a rivalry. It's kind of funny that way. Yeah. But the rivalries, I don't know. I don't think you could say a budding rivalry with the young people coming up. Orlando Cavaliers going 7 games. That could become a rivalry.
Because you got young players
the Knicks
there.
in Philadelphia, that could become a rivalry. It was Milwaukee and Boston kind of, but that sort of, with the injuries make a difference. But Minnesota, Denver, LeBron ain't lasting forever. That could become a rivalry. Anthony Edwards and Jamal Murray, we'll see what they're going to do.
Yeah, Anthony Edwards, I think that he's man, that dude is a different man. Like he can shoot, he plays defense.
He can leap.
He can jump. Like he's so athletic, and like his mentality is everything you want from the best player on your team. The way he carries himself, where he uplifts his other teammates and talks about like how, after the games against the Suns, he said he wants to go out there and dominate them. He just wanted to kill them. Mm-hmm. And like that type of mentality at that young of an age is just it's great. It's great for the fans to watch.
It's going to be harder for him to do it against Denver.
Yeah, it is.
But he can do it, though.
No, he can. And they got a good coach over there.
Yeah, well, they got size.
They got size. They got players.
And they got a good coach.
And they have a good coach. And they got a good veteran, Mike Conley. He's been in the league for a while. Just overall leadership and continuity. I'm predicting. I think Minnesota's going to beat Denver, just because I think that they have the perfect matchup. And
I don't think it's perfect because when you take Towns and Gobert, I don't think they're as quick as Porter or Gordon. They match up with speed with Djokovic, but Jokic is a surprise. He runs that court as a big man. Yeah. He might beat what you might think an athletic big man down the court. So he's a little sneaky fast, and so I'm not sure Minnesota has the athletic to deal with them. But in the playoffs, it slows down. It becomes a lot of half court actions.
Exactly.
And with their size that they can match up, as long as they're coached well, I think they can get the job done. And Anthony Edwards is going to be harder to deal with than Austin Reeves and D'Lo or Dinwiddie and Gabe Vincent.
Yeah.
They got a tiger to deal with there.
They got Jaden McDaniels too.
Yeah, and they got Naz Reid.
Yeah.
And they got, and we ain't even talked about Karl Anthony Towns because he's come back and he looks okay. Yeah. So they got something really to do. And those guys also, Towns can shoot from outside.
Yep.
Make a three-pointer.
McDaniels.
Naz Reid can shoot from outside. I think Minnesota's a sleeper to win the whole daggone thing.
I agree. I think they got the right pieces, good coaching, young talent. For me, because since the Lakers lost, I would like to see a new maybe young team. I would even like to see the Knicks win it all. I don't think they have enough to win it all, the Knicks, but I think it would be good for basketball for the Knicks winning the championship. MSG, New York, they got great fans out there. I think the three teams I would like to see win it the most this year would be New York, Minnesota, or OKC, because OKC, they got a good team too. Mm-hmm. I think that I'm not sure if I could see them winning it all, just based on their play style, being young and just watching that series, making mistakes. I
think their big guy.
Chet, you don't like Chet? I
like Chet, but I just don't think he's the big dominant force to stop the other teams. He's like. When you
like Kristaps Porzingis.
Well, you remember that guy that backs up AD Jackson. He's kind of skinny. He don't do nothing. They just move him out the way or whatever. And I look at Chet. That's like the Lakers. When the Lakers played Oklahoma City, they just owned Oklahoma City.
Oh, OKC beat them too.
Once. I'm talking about when LA was healthy and OKC was healthy, LA dominated them to where everybody figured, man, if LA could play OKC. And I agree. I don't think OKC was going to beat LA. But they're a good team. I ain't taking nothing away from them.
They swept the Pelicans.
Yeah, but the Pelicans didn't have
Zion.
And what's the name that they did have was coming off the injury. During the regular season, the Pelicans had swept them. But they were, it's a different team in the playoffs. In the playoffs, Phoenix had swept Minnesota.
Yeah.
So but when did they play? Were they healthy?
Right.
Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So, but I agree with you about Minnesota, but I will say this about who I want to win. I just as soon see Minnesota win from a standpoint. To me, I think they just a better all-around team. And just get rewarded for having that. They come back from this injury, beat the defending champs, and beat whatever team comes out the West. I could see that happening. I just don't see Oklahoma City doing it. And if it wasn't Oklahoma City, I don't want Denver to win, but I could see them, if they get past Minnesota, they could do it again. But I like Minnesota. As far as the East, I don't really like the East. I think the East is kind of weak with the injuries that occurred with Antetokounmpo, Giannis, Dame, and so that ended that. New York has an injury. Did what's the name
Julius
come back?
Randle.
Did
No,
he come
he's
back? He's not back. Okay, so they depend upon that little
Boston's Kristaps Porzingis is out now
guy.
too.
Well,
So.
they're dependent. I don't trust
You
Boston.
don't like Brunson?
I don't. Yeah, I like Brunson, but they're dependent on him.
Yeah.
And I don't see you need a team. You need kind of this balance instead of depending upon this one guy to sort of do it all, live and die with this one guy. That's like when Kyrie wanted to be the man. Okay, it's hard to be the total answer to everything at 6'3". You might be a little more of a force if you're 6'7" like Kawhi Leonard, or 6'8", 6'9" like LeBron James, because you're an all-around athlete and you can jump out the gym. But if you're 6'3", it's hard to take a team to a championship. You know, like their point guard for Dallas ain't Kyrie really, it's Luka.
Well, yeah, he's 6'7", 6'8".
Yeah. So, but I like Kyrie, but but again, I haven't been paying attention to Minnesota. But here's my thought about Minnesota. When I saw how it was shaking out with the playoffs, and if the Lakers won, they were going to have to play Minnesota. Even if they beat Denver, now they got to play Minnesota. That was my thought, and I ain't so sure they can beat Minnesota. That was what I was thinking when I saw how they had to get through Denver, and then to get past Denver, now they got to play Minnesota.
Yeah.
So the way it actually turned out, the better thing for the Lakers to have happened, because I don't like to think like that as a sports athlete, was to have lost to be able to win the game again. Lost to New Orleans to then beat
The
Kings to get to OKC. That was the only path that they would have to do it, so they wouldn't have to beat both Minnesota and Denver. They only had to beat one, and they couldn't even beat the one.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. I think Minnesota's got a damn. If I had to put my money on it, I'd put my money on Minnesota. But we'll see tonight how they kind of match up and scheme, because coaching is going to make a difference on how you scheme. Because I don't even, to some degree, sometimes when I saw Minnesota, they got this guy Nas Reed who can play, but because he's not so-called the quote-unquote superstar, they were doing his minutes a little funny when they're a full team, as if he's just some Yoko reserve.
Yeah.
This guy. When you notice when he became a starter, what they did, and he can knock down 3-pointer shots. It's interesting how things turn out, opportunities come to people. So